The Utah State Aggies used to be one of those teams in the Mountain West that you were kind of fond of. You were just excited to see them play, and they were a team that was full of competitors and found ways to win. Now, last year, that kind of fell off the rails. There's been a lot of off the field stuff going on. We're not going to dive into that. We are going to take a quick preview of what Bronco Mendenhall's effect will be on this team and what we should expect from the Aggies in 2025. Now, you look at this team and what they were able to do last year, 4-8, very disappointed. You knew that a coaching change was coming, and the fact that they were able to land Bronco Mendenhall says a lot about their good fortune in terms of coaching prospects. Now, Bronco Mendenhall comes in from New Mexico, and that's a team that he turned around quickly. This is a guy who knows how to coach, and he's very familiar with the West Coast, so you feel like he has a great opportunity ahead of him. And this is a program that can definitely win in the Mountain West. He just has to get them back to that point. And with the offensive talent that he is coming back, combined with his ability to, I think, turn around defenses, there's a lot of optimism surrounding this program heading into the 2025 season. Part of that is going to be bringing in talent. And while you do lose really one player to the NFL that you're going to miss in Jalen Royals, overall, there are plenty of players that you are going to miss. And I think that there are plenty of players, though, that you see are going away, and you feel like you brought in enough talent to make things better. So you lose Rasul Faison. I think that's a decent loss for them. Teague Anderson, kind of the same thing. There are some other guys that overall were a decent. I mean, you lose a number of players to Power 4 programs, so those are going to be big misses. But I think this program feels like they're in a different place right now, and they feel good about what they have going forward. Bringing in a guy like Noah Avenger, which isn't really surprising given that he's following his coach to his new school. That's to be expected. You see a handful of New Mexico transfers that are going to make an impact that should be very familiar with this system, with this culture, and what they're going to be expected to do. You also bring in some players that are looking to, I think, get their first real opportunity in college football and really get a chance to maybe take on the role that they wanted going in for this season. Overall, I think there's plenty of change, and it's going to be a transitional period for really everybody involved, and that's okay. I think that it might take some time for them to figure things out, but also we kind of thought that with New Mexico, and it looked like they figured things out quicker than expected. Utah State fans maybe have that same expectation. Now, the quarterback position is relatively set. Bryson Barnes returns after an okay year. You didn't get a full season to see what he could do, but you also got a glimpse of what he's capable of doing. This is a former Utah transfer who didn't really look like he was going anywhere with the Utes. Now he goes to Utah State, and it feels like we finally get to see what he's capable of doing. Threw for 856 yards with 12 touchdowns last year. He also ran for 530 yards and 5 more scores, averaged nearly 8 yards per carry. He's joined in the backfield by an interesting combination. Javen Jacobs comes in from New Mexico, rushed for 277 yards last year and 3 touchdowns. Miles Davis comes in from BYU. He was stuck in a loaded running back room with the Cougars. Now he gets a chance to be one of 2 guys, if not the guy, in this offense. Another guy to keep an eye on for this group is Derek Jameson. 140 carries and 2 touchdowns last year. He is someone that could also factor into this rotation. Behind Barnes, an interesting player to watch is Anthony Garcia, comes in from Arizona. We'll see how he competes for the starting job, but it feels like it's Bryson Barnes' job, and we've seen enough from him where if he's not going to get the full-time start, he's definitely going to be the first guy to get an opportunity to play. Now, finding chemistry with the wide receiver group and the tight ends is going to be a challenge, but there are plenty of talented players on this roster. Corey Thompson is one to keep an eye on, comes in from UNLV. Brady Boyd comes in from Texas Tech, and Derek Starling comes in from Western Kentucky. Not a ton of production between those 3, but the talent level is definitely there. Boyd was kind of stuck, similar to Miles Davis, but Boyd was stuck in a talented wide receiver room at Texas Tech. And I think that he is ready to show what he can do. It'll be fun to see how he does that. Kahanu Davis is a really good player to watch in terms of talent and versatility. He has the ability to be a returner. He can also be a really dangerous wide receiver when you put him in the right position. So we'll see what he can do as well. The tight end position, I think, is solid. The production, not necessarily anything that you're worried about, but you have two experienced players in Brock Lane and Josh Sturzer. Lane had 19 catches last year for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sturzer, 20 catches for 202 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, that's a tandem that could be utilized quite a bit, especially with the wide receivers needing to sort things out. This is an offense that was pretty explosive at times last year. Jalen Royals had a lot to do with that, but now he's gone. You need new guys to step up, and you need to find a way to keep this offense going. I trust that Bronco Mendenhall and the staff will figure that out, and they'll be able to get that figured out pretty quickly. The offensive line features plenty of new faces, whether that's bringing in from the transfer portal. You also have 5 new starters, at least full-time starters. Combined, this group has 3 starts from 2024. So a guy like Trey Anderson, they're really excited about. George Manley Jr. is going to be someone with a ton of experience like Anderson. You bring in Jack Eichhorn from BYU. Jared Paley is going to be a guy to keep an eye on the other tackle spot. And then you have Tavu Motuapuka. He is someone that is relatively inexperienced, the most inexperienced of everybody here, but he is someone that I think when healthy is a really fun player to watch, could have a tremendous impact on this offense. The defense is kind of an unknown right now, and you have a lot of guys that are new to this program. You also have good returning talent as well. So you're going to have plenty of competition. You will have new faces that are trying to step in and show that they can do. You also have returning players that aren't used to this coaching staff yet that need to show them, hey, I'm capable of playing in your system just like I was in the last one. So that's going to be a really interesting group to watch. And you have plenty of players that will be able to prove their worth. The defensive front should be relatively familiar to the fan base. Tyree Morris had 65 tackles, 5 tackles for loss last year. Gabriel Iniguez, 29 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Bo Miley comes in with 19 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. The other edge position is kind of up for grabs right now. I think you have Enoka Migao, who's going to be a really fun player to pay attention to, and not a ton of a production right now, but he is someone who could take his game to another level. You also have Naki Fahina coming in from New Mexico State. Some of these guys you're looking to see, are you able to take your game to the next level? Playing in Conference USA is not the same as playing in the Mountain West. So are you able to get your talent to elevate their game and make sure that they're ready for the task at hand? And are they able to and capable really of taking that next step? The linebacker position, I think, has the potential to be really exciting. Bronson Oliavio is going to be a really fun player to watch, disruptive. 23 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. Now you give him an entire season to do that exact same thing. If he's able to build on that production, he's going to be an all-conference type player. He is someone who has a tremendous ability with his game to be disruptive, to take away certain things from the offense, and he'll be fun to watch. John Miller is very experienced. 52 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 passes defended. He is another player that you feel pretty good about at the linebacker position. There's a lot of turnover on this roster, so you don't necessarily, I don't really know who we're going to get for depth behind the linebackers, but it's going to be a lot of new faces and kind of a lot of green players. They're not going to be as experienced as some of these other guys, but you feel pretty good about what you have, at least in the starters. The secondary, but probably is the strength of this team. And this is a group that was, I think, had its time last year, but at the same time, this is a defense that struggled mightily in every facet of the game. So you bring in certain players to help in that regard. You do return Ike Larson. I think that is a huge win for this program to be able to keep him around. Bryson Taylor was another productive player. Same thing with Brevin Hamlin. I think these are guys that are going to be able to showcase what they're capable of doing. And when you look at Hamlin comes in from Utah Tech, Bryson Taylor comes in from New Mexico. Ike Larson is that lone returner that you feel really good about if you are a fan of this team. He is a very productive player. He's shown that he can play deep. He's shown that he can make an impact up front. Joining him will be Noah Evinger. That's a guy that we talked about in the past at New Mexico, someone who could take, going in last year, I thought that he could take a step and be an impact player. He blew everything out of the water. 91 tackles last year, 5 passes defended, 1 interception. A very, very good player for the Lobos. Now trying to do the same thing at Utah State. Dylan Tucker comes in from Elon. He is someone looking to compete for one of those starting spots. D'Angelo Mays and Noah Flores will be competing for those other starting cornerback spots with Tucker and Bryson Taylor. So this is a secondary that should be much better than it was last year as a whole. And I think that there are plenty of guys that are going to factor into that production. Winning football games will be tough. This is a program that needs to take things to another level. And right now, Vegas is kind of seeing a little bit of the same thing as last year. 4.5 is the over-under right now. I think when you look at this schedule, it's 6-6 is definitely the ceiling, which would be good. A bowl game would be great for this team to build momentum, and Bronco Mendenhall would not be upset with that. 3-9 is the floor. That's if everything falls apart. You're probably not losing very early to some of these teams. UTEP, you're not losing to for sure. At Texas A&M is definitely going to be a loss. Air Force is kind of up in the air, but if you're Utah State, you have to play with a ton of discipline to beat Air Force. McNeese is going to be a win. At Vanderbilt, in the past, might have been a game you could have circled, but Utah State is in a very different place now and not as good. Vanderbilt is also in a very different place and probably not losing, though they did lose to Georgia State last year. So who knows? We don't really know with that team. Hawaii is going to be a really interesting team to pay attention to if they are better. If not, that's definitely a beatable team. San Jose State will be really tough. That is a team I think can compete for a Mountain West championship. New Mexico, we just saw that their coach join Utah State and take over this program. So that'll be interesting. That'll be a very interesting environment when that game comes around. Nevada is looking to bounce back after a tough year, but they might be struggling as well. The last 3 games are tough, though the Fresno State game is going to be interesting. Matt Entz takes over. That's a program that's kind of going in the wrong direction right now. He's hoping to turn that around, but sandwiched around that is a trip to UNLV and hosting Boise State. Now, there's still optimism surrounding this program. The channel thinks that 31% of you think they're going to finish 1st through 3rd, 39% think 4th through 6th, and then so really you're looking at, pretty optimistic that they'll finish in the top half of this conference. The rest think the bottom half, which is the smaller minority. So this is a team that has a lot of excitement because of its coach, because of the changes that were made. And if they're able to take a step forward, you feel pretty good about what this group can look like in the brand new era under Bronco Mendenhall and in the near future as well.